Yeah, good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. It was brought to my attention earlier today that Club Cambria is going to join partnership with Huntington Bank Stadium and for Premier Suites. And I'm really excited about that with Marty Davis and Cambria. Everything's done at an elite level, so excited for that premier space for our fans. And if I was a fan, I'd want to be able to watch games from up there. So I'm not a fan. I got a good seat right now, but if I was a fan, that'd be where I want to be. So just want to thank Marty Davis and Cambria for their partnership, and everything they do is first class. So really excited about that partnership. Just wanted to make sure I said that because just found that out this morning. So excited about that new space. With that, we'll open up for questions.
BJ, we've talked a lot about the relationship between Tanner and Mike and how them trying to get on the same page and advance the relationship. How have you and Mike tried to enhance things in your second year together?
Yeah, well, first of all, I've known Mike for probably close to about 8 to 10 years now, and always really been somewhat close from afar in the coaching profession, and so we've known each other really well. We spent a lot more time together, but again, it's really hard during a pandemic. I mean, it's just so hard to judge certain things because there's so many things that are outside of your control that when you do have a normal environment, normal setting, normal time, normal, coaching ability with your players, and you have all that, I mean, you know what the baseline is. It's really difficult when you get off of that to know exactly where the norm is and where the median is. So, but I think him and Tanner have spent so much time together when they've been able to do that, not only on the field but off the field. We had a scrimmage the other day, and it was amazing because they just felt like they were talking for each other, and they both felt that. And that's what you want your coordinator and quarterback to get to. I always think it takes close to 2 years for a new coordinator to get to a certain point where that mesh is happening. And then you throw COVID and a pandemic and all the things that were going on last year, and you have to do a relationship, which you don't really know a person. You have incredible change. You're having adversity throughout the entire society. And then you've got to be able to build this relationship in football and X and O's where our game's all about togetherness and bringing people closer together, spending time together in person, right? Going from the classroom out to the field, to the walkthroughs, to practice, then back into the film room. And you're only having everything through a screen. It's very difficult to build a relationship. It's kind of like a long-distance dating relationship, a person that you kind of never really met, but you're dating them online, I don't know if that's catfish or whatever it is, but it's a very unique relationship. But a lot of people went through that last year. It wasn't just us. I mean, that's just natural when you're talking about new relationships in general. But we wanted to spend a lot more time together. Tanner and Mike have. They got a really special bond. They're very close. They have a lot in common. And there's been a lot of things that have happened that have brought us even closer together just as a team in general, and those two as coordinator and quarterback.
BJ, can you talk about Chris Ottman-Bell's status for Ohio State week 1?
Yeah, he's kind of moved from week to week to somewhat day to day now. And, we're excited about his progress he's making. If we're going to do what's best for Chris first, we're going to make sure Chris is healthy enough to do whatever, whether it's practice, whether it's reps, whether it's playing a game. But we'll take that one day at a time.
I saw you took a trip to Fort Snelling. What did you and the team gain from that experience?
Well, that's the ultimate team with the ultimate sacrifice. And we bring them there every single year. And no matter what your views and beliefs are with our society, we can all go there and show our respects and pay our respects to the people who fought for our country, to allow us to have the freedoms we have to play football every day, to be together every day, to have the freedoms we have as people every day. And we're not a perfect country by any means, but when you go there, there's this certain aura that takes over you and brings a lot of perspective in your life, from the tombs of the unknown soldiers to the 350,000 tombs that are there. And I don't think you ever really get a true perspective of how big it is until you're actually there. And it just keeps going and going and going. These are people's lives. This isn't a game. These are lives. And Bob, who's there, who takes great care of us every time we go there, and we've made it a tradition. It's amazing. He talked about just how every tombstone, how meticulously it's placed. There's nothing average about that cemetery. There's nothing average about those men and women that are in that cemetery. And that's the ultimate team with the ultimate sacrifice, from the ultimate detail of every single thing there being perfect. And, we want to be able to continue to provide perspective for our student athletes, no matter what people's beliefs are. Everybody in that cemetery had a different religion. They were a different race. They had different beliefs. But there's people back from the Civil War in there, the Spanish-American War, the World Wars, Vietnam. I mean, it's incredible. It humbles you, and it makes you feel really small. But hopefully it makes them feel very proud of what they're representing every day. And again, people are going to have their own views on things, but I feel like it's my job as an educator and teacher is to make sure they understand that that is the ultimate team and the ultimate sacrifice. And we get to play a game for a living. I get to coach a game for a living. To truly gain the biggest perspective that they can actually have as a human.
What are your thoughts on the Big Ten's forfeit rule after what you guys and a lot of teams went through last year? They came out and said this year that it would be a loss.
Yeah, I think there's people that are way above me that make those decisions. I mean, I just heard that just like you did. I know that was in the talks, and I know other conferences are making those decisions, and I think that's somewhat of the trend right now to be able to do that because I think most conferences are going to go that direction. Maybe the conferences feel that there's been enough time to be able to get vaccinations and do those types of things and keep your team safe and keep everybody else safe. But again, those are people that are way above me making those decisions. Making decisions that keep the student athletes at the forefront of everything and their health and safety and well-being. And I'm all for things like that. And if it happens to turn out that way, that it's somewhat in your control and somewhat out of your control. But we look at it as we do everything we can to make sure we control that with education and doctors and people like that, educating our players and staff of the facts of what things are. And then people have to make the decisions and live with the decisions that they make. That's part of making decisions. There's always a consequence to that, whether a good consequence or a bad consequence, but there's a consequence to it. And there's been a lot of time to be able to make those decisions.
Quick follow-up. You mentioned at Big Ten Media Days, the high percentage of vaccinations that you have. President Gable came out with that mandate, and I was wondering how much that helped close the gap at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we're significantly more than significant. When we were at significant, now we're significantly higher. So, but we have incredible leadership here. I mean, Joan Gable, through a lot of things in her tenure, her very short tenure, has had a lot of adversity thrown her way, and her leadership has been tremendous. And this is no different. She's an incredible leader, and most incredible leaders are really good leaders through every situation, and she is. And I think for us, that allowed our players through education and information to even make more decisions for themselves in the future. And I give her a lot of credit. There's very difficult decisions that have to be made. Leaders have to make very difficult decisions. There's always going to be people who agree and people who disagree on your decisions, but that's why you're in that role, to make that decision. Somebody has to make the call. And I give her a lot of credit. She's had to make a lot of calls. Whether people agree or disagree with those, that's what leadership's about. And I'm thankful that I work for her. There were a lot of people. There were some veterans that took some reps and then they were out. There were some guys who didn't take many reps. Then there were some that took a lot of reps. There were a lot of guys. I think that when you look at a guy like, some of our younger guys up front, like Nathan Bowe, I thought had a really good scrimmage. A guy who started Big Ten games last year due to COVID and due to some injury stuff. Thought he had a really good game. I thought Tanner played well. Tanner did play in it. And was able to distribute the ball to who he needed to distribute to. Some of our young wideouts played really well. I thought Dalen Wright had a really good scrimmage, and he's just got to keep getting better. Defensive side of the ball. Some of our young guys, like a guy like Austin Booker and Jacob Schuster and Luther McCoy, Devin Williams, one of our young linebackers, Darius Green. I mean, our freshman class is very talented, and we let them play a ton of snaps. So there are a lot of guys that really did well, but I liked where we were as a team and the execution on both sides.
Well, the last couple of years, you guys have had the wildcat and short yardage and goal line situations. With Seth moved on, is that still a wrinkle in the playbook? How would you describe that?
Yeah, it's a wrinkle in the playbook. We also added a few folds, a few wrinkles, and a few tore pieces of paper in there too. So we've got some other options as well, not just here comes Seth. So we've got a lot of options now, and I think that's what we have more than we've had in years past, is just some options to do something different, give different looks, give different people opportunities. But that's always going to be part of what we do.
One or two more for Coach. Coach, can you talk a little about your younger quarterbacks? I know you know all about Zach, but some of the other guys that you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Kramer, I think, has had a solid camp. I think he's growing every single day, getting better every single day. You know, he's making some mistakes, and he's showing that the next day he doesn't make the same mistake twice. But you can see the growth and development from him. Jacob Clark's dealing with a little bit of a shoulder here and there, but he's working through that, and I thought he's had a pretty good camp. You know, and then you look at a guy like Ethan, you know, who's getting a ton of reps right now. You know, we are doing everything we can to take that square peg and just jam it in the round hole right now, just to be able to get him reps, where then he can keep failing, and then keep growing. And he's taking some scout team reps, coming over with ones and twos at times. So we're doing everything we can to keep building that depth, because you just never know when you're going to have to play guys, and that's what this season's going to be about. There's going to be times when guys aren't available, and you know, we got to use our depth to our advantage.
And then Zach, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You know, he seems, you know, probably as best as health-wise as he's been, very mobile compared to what you've seen from him in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the health of our football team is really important to me. And when you look at Dan Nickel and our strength coach and Mike Sipniak, our trainers, I mean, they do an unbelievable job, especially in the offseason. And, you know, injuries are part of the game. It's unfortunate. Things happen. And Zach's been through some of those things. But he looks really good right now. He's very healthy. He's just got to keep getting better. You know, and one thing he's learned and I've seen, he just doesn't judge himself like he used to. He's really still hard on himself, but he's not hard on himself to a point where it affects him 2-3 plays down the road. He's able to respond, next play mentality, and that's where I think he's grown the most. And I think all of our quarterbacks have expanded their knowledge of our system, of our passing game, and held accountable to a very high level every day.
We'll go to Mike Graham for the last one. You've you're 10 days out now. You've talked about worrying about the Gophers. Are you slowly shifting into Ohio State yet, or when will that start? And if so, what do you think of the camp up to that point?
Yeah, I think we had a really solid camp. I really do. I think that when you look at what we did, I challenged our players to be able to stack elite practice after elite practice after elite practice on top of each other. And I don't think it was till practice 11 where I had to challenge them and say, you know what, call them up and say the standard's not the standard right now, which is very difficult to do, to keep stacking it up. When you get to the end of practice, you call them up and say, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. We'll go in there and correct the film, but that's exactly the effort, the how, the determination, the elite mindset and the standard that you want. Right now, today was the first day. We did half the practice Minnesota, you know, good on good. Ended it with good on good, but right in the middle of that, we hit a little bit of Ohio State for the first time. Tomorrow, we'll dedicate some of practice, if not, you know, 3/4 of practice to Ohio State. Then we'll get a little time to get their legs back. And then when we come back from about a day and a half, 2 days of meetings and things like that, not just say see ya, but after those days, then we'll hit Ohio State pretty hard. They're a really good football team, really well coached. They got explosive playmakers everywhere. I'm sure that's for another press conference that you want to hear about, but they're very, very talented, which everybody knows. And this wide receiver core they have might be the best wide receiver core I've ever seen in one football team. They're very talented, very good, well coached, and they're Ohio State. So we know they're going to be good.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep, appreciate everybody. Thanks for being here. Roll the boat, Sky Ma. Go Gophers. Thanks, everybody.